Peace and welcome. Today we have our favorite title screen themes. We have a little bit of a criteria, not many things, but just a few. First up, original tunes only. For example, any James Bond game uses an established theme, so as much as we like the GoldenEye music, the title screen theme doesn't make the cut. This applies to almost all games that are adapted from movies, TV shows, and cartoons. DuckTales, RoboCop, The Terminator, and many other games are instantly disqualified. Next up, we would like the theme to be longer than 30 seconds. Some games don't even have a title screen, while others shorten the track down. We love the Tenchu soundtrack, but the title screen theme is 17 seconds long. Same goes with Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. Great soundtracks, but the title screen in both games is limited to 11 seconds in length. It's memorable, it's good, but it's more like a jingle and it probably shouldn't take the place of a full track. Last but not least, when it comes to our criteria, we will use the old screw attack rule and limit it to one per franchise. The footage we will use will not exactly match where it comes from in the game. Since this episode is all about title screens, it would be pretty boring just to stare at 10 different title screens. So we will show gameplay instead. With no further delay, our top 10 title screen themes. We do have a few honorable mentions here. The first one is from the SEGA Genesis, the Mortal Kombat title screen. This theme does appear in other versions of the game, but it's not used for the title screen. On the SNES and on the Sega CD, the title screen is just a quick jingle. The Genesis used it properly, and it's a very memorable track. Our next honorable mention is the title screen from Cuphead.
Roll the dice, by chance they came on Devil's Game, and gosh, they paid the price.
A unique track when it comes down to a video game title screen, a song that could be by a barbershop quartet. It emulates the sounds of the 1930s. Not a very popular style in games, but that's what makes this one so unique.
They proceed but don't succeed. Well, the devil will take their heads.
Officially kicking off our list, number 10 is from Rogue Legacy. Now, in my opinion, this is a criminally underrated soundtrack. It has a traditional feel, but it's not just bleeps and bloops. There are CD quality sounds. And the execution of it all makes it an outstanding soundtrack. I would say one of the most underrated soundtracks in all of video games. I got this game for free when PSN was giving it away one month, and I can say out of all of the free games from PSN that I have downloaded and played, this is near the top. I recommend this game, and even more so, I recommend the soundtrack. Number 9 comes from the 1999 Sega Dreamcast game, SHENMUE. This theme is from one of the all-time great soundtracks. The depth of each and every song is unparalleled. It's a classical experience disguised as a video game soundtrack. In what is one of the more emotional tracks on our list today, it summarizes the Shenmue soundtrack up in a matter of 4 minutes. It has a little bit of everything mixed in. The composer, Yu Suzuki, did a great job, and it definitely tells the tale of what you are in store for. It's an adventure in itself. All of the instruments are blended perfectly. If you play this theme for someone who doesn't know what it is, I guarantee they wouldn't think it's from a video game. In at number 8, we have The Last of Us. Certainly the longest track on our list today, this clocks in at over 7.5 minutes long. And it's also the slowest track on our list, and it fits the mood of the game. The acoustic guitar mixed with the eerie synth sound leaves me with an unsettling feeling, perfect for a game of this nature. You sneak around trying to avoid zombies known as clickers, and also trying to avoid rival sects. An unforgiving landscape mixed with an apocalyptic type feel. This title screen theme is the most memorable track in the game for me, and every time I hear it, I remember exactly what happened in the game. I won't spoil it, but it's a game worth playing. Our lucky number 7 spot is held by Metroid. Composed by the great Hirokazu Tanaka, who is responsible for many great NES soundtracks, and this one is no different. You can see why he is so highly regarded as a composer from this one track. One of the all-time classic title themes, this one always gave me a spooky vibe. It's a good tune for cold, pitch dark, and lonely space on an alien-infested planet. I always thought this one fit the game really good. This easily made our top 10. Leaving this track off the list would have felt just flat out wrong. Number 6 comes from the Super Nintendo game, Super Mario World. A well-known title screen theme, this one beat out the Nintendo 64 version, but it was close. And it may be nostalgia speaking, but this is another Koji Kondo classic. Maybe the most lighthearted theme on our list today, as well as maybe the most fun. This was released in 1990, and it's the 17th soundtrack that Mr. Koji Kondo did for Nintendo. It's not a very complex beat, but sometimes less is more. It does have some change-ups that keep it interesting, yet the mood and the feeling of it stay consistent throughout the entire theme. Number 5, the title theme from Double Dragon on the NES. This 1987 beat-em-up game was developed by Technos and distributed in North America and Europe by Taito. The soundtrack to this first Double Dragon game is one of my favorites on the 8-bit Nintendo. This theme builds up and then takes off into an action-packed couple of minutes. This is a great track to play at the beginning of the game. It gets me hype and ready to kick some butt. It's catchy and at the same time full of 8-bit memories. This combination puts it high on our list. This is just one of those themes. In at unlucky number 4, we have Gauntlet. This theme goes way back, and it's not often a game will use the same theme for 30 years and have it still be good. I always look forward to hearing if this theme is in a new Gauntlet game when it comes out. One of the most recognizable themes in all of games, not just title screens. The first time I heard it was on the NES, however my favorite version would be newer. The NES hardware could only handle so much, and the music reflected that. Not that it's bad, just that it was limited. Consoles nowadays can obviously handle much more, and on the PS4 you can find Gauntlet Slayer Edition. And here is the title screen theme. In at number 3, we have Zelda, Ocarina of Time. This is another theme where less is more. There are not a ton of instruments going on, but the piano mixed with the violin and flute are blended really well. This one beat out The Legend of Zelda on the NES, but it was a difficult decision. Ended up going with this one because of the amount of emotions it triggers. I really like the piano, and as soon as I hear the first few notes, a bunch of memories pop into my head. It's a very nostalgic beat, like it could be played during a dream sequence or maybe played during a flashback scene, and it would still fit right in. A well-deserved number 3. Our number 2 entry today comes from ECCO the Dolphin on the SEGA CD. If you follow the channel, you would know that we think the ECCO CD soundtrack is one of the top OSTs of its time. We like it enough to make a top 10 out of it. If you want to know what we really think about the soundtrack, check that out. This theme is a perfect representative to what the ECCO CD soundtrack is all about. If you like this title theme, then you will probably like the rest of the soundtrack as well. The tracks may sound a bit similar to this one, but each has its own twist. I highly recommend the ECCO CD OST. top spot today comes from Mega Man 3 on the NES. This track reminds me of the moon from DuckTales, and I don't mean the melody or anything like that, but the feel of how the beat builds and builds, then explodes into one of the most epic tracks in the NES library. This one beat out the Mega Man 2 title theme for the best in the franchise, and then it ended up beating out all of the other ones to take first place today. It doesn't use full-fledged instruments and it's not CD quality, but this just goes to show that it's not about specs or hardware limitations. A good track can rock out with just some bleeps and bloops. So with another top 10 coming to a close, we have started planning our next top 10. An upcoming episode that we want your help on. The top 10 water themes in video games. And one thing to remember, if it's a stage theme, it doesn't have to actually be underwater to be considered a water theme. So comment and let us know your favorite water theme. And if you disagree with our list today, feel free to let us know your favorite title screen themes as well. As always, I'm ICC. Thanks for watching. Peace.